Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. At a private clinic, I lay half reclined on the hospital bed, a thick 4 drip inserted into the back of my hand. Marcus's blood slowly flowed into my veins. I have a blood clotting disorder, requiring regular transfusions every month. Marcus shares my blood type, and despite others' warnings, he insisted on donating blood to me each month. He'd done so for 3 years, come rain or shine. Everyone said he was deeply in love with me. He sat by my bed, looking with a pained expression at the slightly bruised back of my hand, and gently kissed it. Just a little more rest, and your body will be fully recovered. You won't have to suffer like this again. The nurses in the room cast envious glances my way. I subtly lowered my gaze. Envious? Marcus and I were indeed known as the most devoted couple. We met in college. A young, rebellious Marcus fell for me at first sight, relentlessly pursuing me despite our differing social standing. For me, he openly defied his parents. Even when he was cut off financially and kicked out of the house, he didn't back down. Back then, he held my hand and solemnly promised, "Ellie, I will give you a grand wedding." He kept his word. While still in school, he launched a startup, working so hard he only slept 3 hours a day. He was incredibly smart, and his company quickly grew and prospered. By the year we graduated, his company's scale rivaled that of Mr. Hayes's family, forcing Mr. Hayes and Mrs. Grace to acknowledge and respect me. True to his promise, he gave me a dream wedding, making me the happiest woman in the city. After we married, he continued to treat me as he always had, bringing me fresh flowers every day, creating little surprises, and unconditionally supporting everything I wanted to do. My birthdays and wedding anniversaries were always celebrated grandly each year. He once pledged to me under the stars, "Marcus will love Eleanor with his life, and his heart will never change." That's when he proved his devotion. In an accidental car crash, a delivery van sped directly towards us, leaving no escape. In that critical moment, he sharply turned the steering wheel, making his driver's side collide with the van. He faced death head-on, giving me a chance to live. But life is unpredictable, even the most intense feelings fade, and the most sincere promises can be broken. The sweet and beautiful memories of the past only made the current reality seem crueler. I looked at Marcus. Behind his slightly lowered neck, a faint, suggestive red mark was visible, an agonizing sight. "Marcus, how could your heart change?" After the transfusion, he gently pressed the needle site on my hand, and let me lean into his embrace as we walked out. "I want to go shopping. You can head back to the office, right?" Once outside, I looked up, gazing tenderly at Marcus. "Okay, don't get too tired. I'm getting off work early today, so I can go home and make your favorite barbecue ribs." Marcus carefully straightened my clothes, his handsome face showing his usual deep affection and patience. I stood on the street until his car was out of sight, then hailed a taxi directly to the Department of Citizenship and Immigration. "Ms. Eleanor, are you sure you want to renounce your American citizenship? In a month, all your information will be erased." "Yes, I'm sure. I'll be emigrating abroad soon," I said softly. After submitting the application, I walked out of the Department of Citizenship and Immigration, looking up at the clear blue sky. "Marcus, when we got married, I told you that if you ever betrayed me, I'd make sure you could never find me again. Now that you've broken your vows, we shall never see each other again in this life." Chapter 2. I found out about Marcus's affair half a year ago. His mistress intentionally revealed it. When I saw the string of glaringly intimate photos, I realized he had split himself in two, one half for me, the other for his mistress. Perhaps his ability to juggle multiple commitments was too strong, as I hadn't suspected a thing. With a bitter smile, I printed out the divorce papers at a print shop and dejectedly returned to the house that was no longer a home. Waking up the next morning, Marcus clung to me from behind, playfully saying, "Ellie, it's our wedding anniversary today. I prepared a surprise for you." "Oh, really? I wonder what you've got planned this year." My lips curved, but my eyes held indifference, my interest low. Marcus, usually so sensitive to my mood changes, seemed oblivious, still chattering excitedly. When we left, he helped me put on my shoes and clothes as usual, treating me like a child. I used to refuse countless times, but he was always stubborn, smiling as he said he felt happy serving his wife. He blindfolded me and led me to a sprawling estate with a rose garden. When I opened my eyes again, red roses bloomed everywhere, dazzling my sight. He embraced me, saying passionately, "Darling, I remember you once said your childhood dream was to own a sprawling estate with a rose garden and live inside like a princess. Now I'm making your wish come true. You are the princess, and I will be your knight, guarding you forever. I couldn't believe he'd made a casual remark of mine a reality. My nose felt a little sore, my eyes welled up, and my heart was twisting in agony. Marcus, how could you change your heart and still look at me with such loving eyes? How could you still care for me so meticulously? This only made my pain even more piercing. Don't cry. Are you unhappy? Seeing the sparkle in my eyes, Marcus frantically cupped my face, gently wiping away my tears. No, I'm crying tears of joy. I gently shook my head and led him on a stroll through the estate. Wandering among the flowers, we looked as if we were in a fairy tale. In the center of the rose garden, he carefully took out a custom-designed pink diamond rose pendant and placed it in my hand, an eternally blooming rose, just like our love, will last until the end of our lives. I looked at the exquisite pink diamond and then at the intense love in his eyes, wanting so badly to question him. Really? In the evening, he sat with me on a hillside, watching the brilliant fireworks, but he seemed somewhat distracted, constantly checking his phone. I pretended not to notice his odd behavior, focusing on the fireworks. Bright and grand, yet fleeting, just like my marriage to Marcus. That night, Marcus and I stayed in the mansion. He personally cooked dinner for me. I sat in the living room watching TV and happened to flip to a live channel, where I saw Scarlett, the mistress he kept. She was being cornered by caustic reporters. Miss Scarlett, it's rumored you have a sugar daddy. Is that true? Did you really get so many resources and when you're all on your own? The young, beautiful girl's face was filled with a deer-like panic, a stark contrast to her aggressive demeanor from the other day. Please move aside. I don't have a sugar daddy, these are all false accusations. She cried pitifully, but was blocked and couldn't move. The chopping sounds from the kitchen stopped. I instinctively looked over. Marcus was furiously typing on his phone, his eyebrows tightly furrowed. Just looking at his profile, I could see his towering rage. Soon after, a dozen imposing bodyguards fiercely stormed into the surrounding crowd, protecting Scarlett like a treasure. The lead lawyer, refined yet domineering, stated, "Miss Scarlett is our junior madam. Regarding the online rumors, I represent my client and will pursue full legal action. These reporters who have spread baseless defamation are not suitable for this profession. I expect to see their resignation statements tomorrow." His possessive and brazen protection of his wife sent all the live stream viewers into a frenzy. The domineering CEO's pampered wife, I'm obsessed. This girl is Oh lucky. Who can find out who her husband is? He must be handsome. My hand, clutching the remote control, suddenly loosened. I thought that after a few days of processing, the pain would have subsided, but why was my heart still aching so severely? My face turned pale in an instant. Junior Madam, his subordinates actually addressed her as Junior Madam. What was my status then? Chapter 3. The sound of the remote control falling startled Marcus. He rushed over frantically, saw my pale face, and anxiously asked, "Ellie, where do you feel unwell? I'll take you to the hospital right now." His expression was genuinely intense, he clearly loved me to no end. But that still didn't stop him from keeping a mistress behind my back. In a daze, I found it utterly absurd. Can a man truly divide his deep affection between two people? I'm fine. I just got scared watching a horror movie. I subtly brushed his hand away, saying calmly. After my repeated insistence, Marcus finally dropped the idea of taking me to the hospital. A table laden with my favorite dishes was set. Marcus meticulously peeled shrimp and removed fish bones for me, but his constant checking of messages and the fond look in his eyes when he glanced at his phone all signaled his distraction. I observed silently, simply enjoying the meal. I endured until evening, when he finally couldn't sit still. He used overtime as an excuse and drove straight off, so eager that he even forgot his habit of always kissing my forehead before leaving. I hesitated repeatedly but still drove to follow him. At first, I worried about being discovered, but later, even when I followed openly, he didn't notice. His entire focus was on that mistress. The car drove into a middle-class apartment complex, slowly stopping in front of a building. I parked in a hidden spot, watching with my own eyes as Scarlett, dressed in a light nightgown, threw herself into Marcus's arms, pouting and acting playful, her small face full of feigned grievance. Marcus, his face full of doting affection, carefully wrapped his arm around her waist, took off his suit jacket, and carried her inside like a princess. The lights on the 6th floor came on, and two ambiguous figures appeared in my sight. Right there in the living room, Marcus impatiently pinned Scarlett against the window. Their dark silhouettes merged. The thought that for the past 6 months, Marcus had touched her dirty body and then come to touch me. Ugh. I was in my car, suddenly throwing up. Disgusting, truly disgusting. I closed my eyes, the image of their intertwined figures burned into my mind like a nightmare, impossible to shake off. My face felt cold, I instinctively touched it, realizing I was already in tears. I remembered Marcus once saying he had a phobia of germs and would only ever touch one woman in his life. Thinking about it now, it was a colossal lie. The next evening, Marcus returned, travel-worn, bringing another bouquet of my favorite roses as usual. Normally, when he came back, I would excitedly chatter about various daily trifles. But now, I just sat on the sofa, a little lost, my fingers tracing a delicate box. Marcus finally noticed my change in mood. He cautiously asked, "Ellie, did I upset you somehow?" He lowered his stance, looking at me with a flattering expression, much like a tail-wagging dog. In the past, every time he showed that pathetic expression, I would soften and forgive him. But not this time. I saw a story online about a couple who'd been devoted for 10 years, but the husband eventually cheated. I just felt a little sad for the woman. I casually lied, saying calmly. Marcus breathed a sigh of relief, joking, "Oh, so that's it. Her tragedy will never happen to you. Ellie, you should know how much I can't live without you. You are my life." I listened to his emphatic assurance, but didn't rush to embrace him playfully as I usually would. I simply responded with a faint smile. After dinner that night, Marcus belatedly noticed that the room seemed a bit emptier. Our wedding photos were gone. "Ellie, where are our wedding photos?" He felt uneasy, asking with a trembling voice, his dark eyes hinting at panic. Of course, I threw them away. Yesterday, when I returned and saw the huge wedding photos on the wall, I felt they were mocking me. I smashed them and threw them out. The nails on the wall were loose, and the photos fell, breaking the frame. "I've sent them out for repair," I explained nonchalantly, and Marcus, unsuspecting, believed me. We resumed our usual closeness, but it was only on the surface. I began slowly packing my things, just waiting for my immigration application to be approved so I could leave. Chapter 4. I wasn't surprised when Scarlett sought me out again. After all, she was desperate to climb the ranks. In a secluded private room, she rubbed her belly and haughtily declared, "I'm pregnant with Marcus's child, and it's a boy. You barren woman, if you're smart, you'll step aside sooner rather than later, before things get messy." My chest tightened, it felt as if my heart had shattered into pieces. Due to my health, it was difficult for me to conceive. Marcus had once held me, comforting me by saying he didn't like children and only wanted me. But now, another woman, carrying his child, was showing up to usurp my place. My lips turned white. I gripped the table tightly with one hand to steady myself, while the other rested on my lower abdomen, trying to maintain my composure. "As a disgraceful mistress, who gave you the nerve to come here and provoke me? Do you believe I'd tell Marcus right now? He could make you disappear from the entertainment industry." Disgraceful? Old woman, stop deluding yourself. Come by Saturday morning, and you'll understand. Hearing my words, Scarlett smiled meaningfully. She handed me an address. I saw it was a luxurious resort managed by Margaret. Anticipating it to be a Pandora's box, I still went early that morning. Standing in the most discreet downwind spot, I watched Marcus and our mutual friends having a barbecue party on the lawn. A familiar car pulled up, and to my disbelief, Marcus appeared openly, carefully embracing Scarlett. My friends actually laughed and went to greet them, playfully teasing, "His new girlfriend is looking better and better, Marcus. You certainly know how to keep her happy. His new girlfriend must be full of tricks, isn't she?" Facing the suggestive banter, Marcus smirked, boldly saying, "Her body is very soft, like a little enchantress." "Marcus, there are so many people here." Scarlett playfully punched Marcus's chest, but her eyes were full of triumph. "His wife can't have children, right? After his new girlfriend gives birth, Marcus, you can just say you adopted the child from a foster care agency. It'll be perfect to raise the child by your side. His wife is sensible and cultured, she'd definitely raise the child well. We're rich, powerful, and of high social standing. How could we only have one woman? As long as it's kept well hidden, his wife will never know. Not to mention, your mother-in-law is even on your side." My blood ran cold, and I stood there, my limbs stiff. At that moment, I hated myself for standing downwind, hearing every single one of those vile words clearly. It turned out that the mistress had long been known to his friends, and even Margaret knew. Everyone knew Marcus was cheating, but they all helped him hide it. Only I was foolishly kept in the dark. I had believed my life was happy, my marriage blissful. What a colossal lie. Dazed and numb, I returned home, my hands shaking as I packed my documents, placing the gift box containing the divorce papers on the most conspicuous coffee table. Then, I left resolutely, without the slightest bit of nostalgia. Marcus, in this life, let us never meet again. Chapter 5. On the lawn, Marcus suddenly felt a pang of unease for reasons unknown, as if something vital was about to leave him. He frowned heavily, pushed Scarlett away from him, picked up his car keys, and left. You all have fun, I'm going back for a bit. He drove back to the mansion, only to see renovation workers moving in and out, redecorating the place. His brow twitched, and he strode over. Stop, what are you doing? The estate manager jumped in surprise. Madam said she wanted to redecorate the house, so she called the renovation workers. Redecorate? Marcus's heart tightened. He and Eleanor had decorated the mansion together when they got married. Why would she want to redecorate? Oh, and Madam left something for you, the estate manager said. Marcus immediately entered the barely recognizable mansion and clearly saw the delicate box on the coffee table. He stood motionless, the alarm in his heart growing stronger, as if it were a Pandora's box. Opening it would lead to hell. After a long hesitation, he finally opened it. And there I saw the divorce papers I had left, along with a small piece of paper with Scarlett's name written on it. Upon seeing these two items, Marcus's face turned ashen. Intelligent as he was, he instantly understood that I knew everything about his affair. That's why I had left resolutely, leaving nothing for him to miss, not even the house, which I had torn apart. With trembling hands, he dialed my phone number, but it was a disconnected number. Ellie, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Please come back. Marcus, red-eyed, stumbled out, running wildly. He frantically asked all his friends, but no one knew where I had gone. Investigate. Immediately find out Madam's whereabouts. Marcus roared at his subordinate. From the other end of the line came the subordinate's trembling voice. Mr. Cheen, all of Madam's information is untraceable. How could this be? His phone slipped from his hand, and tears fell uncontrollably. While frantically searched for me, I had already arrived in a picturesque European town. To prevent him from finding me, I had intentionally transited through several countries before settling there. The picturesque European town was sparsely populated and tranquil, which I loved dearly. I opened a handicraft shop there, passing the time while making a living. I deactivated all my contact methods, leaving only an email address. Marcus, my friends, and Margaret's emails came in every day. After a week of reflection, I could now calmly face Marcus's betrayal, but what I found most unforgivable was Margaret's betrayal. She knew perfectly well that I was intolerant of betrayal, yet she still helped Marcus cover it up. I silently read Margaret's emails. All she said, implicitly and explicitly, was that I shouldn't be dramatic. Since I couldn't have children, it was fine for someone else to have a child for me. Marcus loved me deeply, so why should I cause a scene with him? I looked at the email, unsure how to respond. Shortly after going abroad, I discovered I was pregnant. Facing this ill-timed child, I thought about it for a day and ultimately had a DC procedure. Margaret and my father divorced when I was young, and she struggled to raise my sister Chloe and me. I am grateful for her nurturing, but I couldn't forgive her betrayal of me. After some thought, I sent a brief email, telling her I was well and that I would never forgive Marcus. Then, I deactivated the email account. Chapter 6. Ellie replied to me. Seeing my response, Margaret excitedly opened the email. A despondent Marcus immediately leaned over to look. After reading the content, his eyes dimmed. He murmured, I should have known Ellie, she'll never forgive me. Why is she so stubborn? Margaret frowned, then continued, the key is, who made Ellie find out about this? Didn't you promise you would keep everything from Ellie, ensuring she wouldn't know about the mistress? I'm investigating, Marcus said hoarsely. Just then, his phone rang. The investigation results were in. Scarlett had deliberately sought me out. Along with the results were various provocative messages and intimate photos. Marcus's hand, holding the phone, trembled. These words pierced his heart, and he couldn't imagine how heartbroken Ellie must have been when she saw them. His eyes were filled with remorse and regret. He loved Ellie so much, so why did he cheat? Perhaps it was because everyone around him had mistresses, and many people advised him that since he had achieved great success, having multiple women was normal. More and more people whispered such things in his ear, and he gradually succumbed. When his friends offered him Scarlett, he tacitly accepted. Unlike the composed and steady Ellie, Scarlett clung to him like an enchantress, drawing him into deep obsession. All the desires he dared not explore with Ellie, he could freely indulge with Scarlett. She would only look up at him with adoring, watery eyes, greatly satisfying his male ego. He had always held on to a shred of hope, believing Ellie trusted him implicitly and would never discover his affair. But reality dealt him a heavy blow. His foolishness had cost him his beloved. So, it was that bitch who went to Ellie. I knew she was getting too bold. Margaret, seeing the message, angrily blurted out, continuously cursing Scarlett. Marcus silently left, taking his people to find Scarlett. Chapter 7. Scarlett's eyes flashed with surprise when she saw Marcus. She softly trotted to his side, gently saying, "Marcus, you're here? The baby just moved, want to feel it?" Marcus's gaze was icy. He instantly gripped her chin, coldly questioning, "Did you go to Ellie? Didn't I warn you not to bother Ellie?" Scarlett's face abruptly turned pale, and she couldn't utter a word. "Since you've harbored malicious intentions, I can't keep you around. I will take back everything I gave you, including this child. You're not worthy of him. Please don't harm the baby. He's your flesh and blood." "I didn't mean to. I just love you too much, Marcus. Please forgive me this once. I'll never dare again. I'll be good and won't go near Mrs. Jean." Scarlett's eyes widened in terror. She pleaded desperately with Marcus, crying tears that streamed down her face, but he remained unmoved. He looked at her with hate-filled eyes. If it weren't for her, Ellie wouldn't have left him. Scarlett looked at Marcus's cold gaze in despair, then suddenly burst into defiant laughter. "It takes two to tango. If you didn't have the idea to cheat yourself, would I even be by your side? You clearly had the intention to cheat, but you're blaming everything on me. Bah, you scum, you deserve to lose the one you love. Ha ha ha, I know women very well. Eleanor will never forgive you." "Shut up. Ellie will come back to me. She definitely will." Marcus was enraged by Scarlett's words. He pushed her forcefully to the ground. Scarlett screamed tragically, and the pungent smell of blood permeated the air. "My baby!" Scarlett cried out miserably, writhing on the ground. Marcus took her to the hospital, where she immediately underwent a DC procedure. Before she was even discharged, he sent people to deliver her a stack of exorbitant bills, detailing all her expenses, amounting to a staggering 10 million. He ordered her to pay it back, or he would sue. Scarlett's body hadn't yet recovered. Upon seeing the exorbitant bills, she became so agitated that her wound reopened, sending her back into surgery. When she finally left the hospital, she discovered she had been blacklisted from the industry. With no other options, she disguised herself and returned to a small rural town, disappearing completely. Chapter 8. I had lived in a picturesque European town for 6 months when, to my surprise, I saw Marcus again. He was wearing a black trench coat, looking very thin, and carefully watching me. "Ellie, I was wrong. I beg you to forgive me this one time." I looked at Marcus's pleading expression, said goodbye to my friend, and then opened the door to let him in. Marcus's tired face. He flashed with surprise when he saw that I let him in, but once inside, I handed him the divorce papers again. "Sign them." Marcus looked at the divorce papers I handed him, his body giving a sudden jolt. He gazed at me imploringly, red-eyed, and said, "Ellie, I was wrong. Please give me another chance." My expression was calm as I looked at him. After these 6 months, I had completely moved on from Marcus. Now, thinking about his betrayal no longer pained my heart. "Marcus, before we started dating, I told you I was intolerant of a fool and couldn't tolerate betrayal." I ran my finger over my water glass. "You promised me that you would only ever have me. You broke your vow, and I, as I said I would, left you. Let's be civil. Let's part ways amicably." "But I can't do it, Ellie, I really can't." Marcus looked at me painfully, and tears finally fell. "Without you, I have no idea how to live." "But you're still alive and well, aren't you?" I said calmly, unmoved by his tears. After finishing my water, I gently pushed the glass, and it fell to the floor, shattering into pieces. I pointed at the broken glass and said, "Our relationship is like this broken glass. Even if it's mended, the cracks will remain. Given time, it will break again." Marcus remained silent, as if his silence could buy him time. I looked at the stubborn Marcus, sighing. It seemed I would have to move again. I politely asked Marcus to leave and began searching for the next habitable city. Chapter 9. After I sent him away, Marcus stood in front of my house, as if hoping to atone. I merely glanced out the window, then drew the curtains. Marcus stood on the street, watching my cold demeanor, his heart filled with sorrow. Ellie truly no longer cared about him. For the next few days, Marcus followed me like a persistent nuisance. Wherever I went, he went. His handsome face attracted a lot of attention on the street, and by extension, so did I. "What exactly do you want? Can't you go back to your country?" I couldn't stand it anymore, saying with a cold face. "Then will you come back with me?" Marcus asked cautiously. I already told you, will never be possible. My expression was irritated. If I went behind your back and found another man, what would you think? What would you do? I'd kill that man. Marcus blurted out, his fists clenched tightly, his eyes blazing with murderous intent. See? You can't tolerate betrayal, so why should I forgive you? I looked at his angry expression, finding it somewhat amusing. I'm living well now, and I don't appreciate you disturbing me. Marcus, for the sake of the love we once shared, please let me go. I don't want to hate you. I looked at Marcus calmly, speaking slowly. Marcus looked at my indifferent eyes and finally admitted the truth he had always avoided. I truly no longer loved him. He knitted his brows, his chest aching as if he were suffocating. He looked at my seemingly pleading expression and heard his own broken voice. Okay, I won't bother you again. Thank you. I politely thanked him, then turned and walked away. The next day, Marcus indeed didn't appear before me again. I immediately felt the air clear considerably, but soon, I spotted him in the shadows. With a deep sigh, I accelerated my search for a new place. 1 month later, in the early hours of the morning, I left the picturesque European town with light luggage. Perhaps a round-the-world trip wouldn't be a bad idea. The next morning, Marcus, as usual, hid in the building opposite my house, watching for me. But he waited for a long time and the door never opened. Marcus grew uneasy. He once again went to the front of the shop but found that all the handicrafts that used to fill it were gone. The shop was empty. Where was Ellie? His body swayed twice. Marcus immediately went to find the landlord, who informed him, "Oh, that young woman you're looking for? Her lease was up today, and she said a month ago that she wouldn't be renewing. She probably moved out last night." A month ago. Marcus stood blankly on the street. He gave a bitter laugh. He had arrived exactly a month ago, so had already planned to move when he first came looking for her. She really had kept her word. If there is betrayal, we shall never meet again in this life. He truly regretted it. Unfortunately, there's no going back in this world. For the rest of his life, he could only live with profound regret and loneliness. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.